Life is such a blur. It's so easy to just lose track of things and completely ignore them. That was a long train. Today I'm shooting Lomography 100 and Kodak Pro Image 100. Also, I had an awful realization. That was a cool mural, by the way. I met Tristan at this great abandoned building I've eyed for years, but have never done a proper shoot at for some strange reason. I found a random roll of Lomography 100-120 that I didn't realize I still had, and that was a sign I had to shoot it. And I also decided to give Kodak Pro Image 100 another go after I was disappointed at my first results. Although I had second thoughts recently about it when I did my cheap film episode. I'd originally hoped some overcast would hold over and that I'd be able to use flash to take advantage of the leaf shutter lens I have for my Pentax 645, but the clouds parted, it was noon, and I forgot the remote. I took the open shade approach because even though it was noon, that doesn't always mean the sun is literally directly overhead and there are no shadows or no usable shadows. And thankfully, our shadow side was perfectly placed for what I wanted to shoot. Though I kept eyeing that awesome mural and I kept reaching for a thought that I felt like was out there that I just couldn't figure it out. Go ahead and stand like in the patch of grass. We worked our way along the side of the building. The other nice thing about the sun being a bit high is that we could step away from the building and get this nice cutting backlight. This tree also helps serve as a nice flag for the light. That's where the light is blocked by an object. So I had her in shadow, which was great because it was really hot, and that was a major factor behind this earlier start time because when we started the heat wasn't awful. And here's some early returns and you'll see how nice and soft that background is, and I took the soft focus filter off for this one and also brought out my 110 camera. I loaded the Lomography 100 into my Pentax 645N and the Pro Image 100 was in my Nikon FG-20 with a 50mm 1.8E lens for the nerds, I guess. I also brought along the Agfa 110 camera and some Lomography Tiger 200 color film. Again, more on this setup in a future episode. Sorry, I'm all over the place enough as things are, and I need to keep this narrower. The light and heat were working out well enough in our favor, but the wasps are not. I have an aversion to stinging insects, and Tristan does too, so we basically zigzagged across the location in accordance to where the evil sky merchants were lurking. I'd say the Pro Image held its highlights better than I expected, and the warmer tones of the film added to the colder noontime light. I'm not sure if I'd like this as much at sunset, but I'm definitely going to use it more now. The Lomography 100 pleased me as much as I was hoping it would. I just wasn't sure. It's got that kind of 80s Kodak Color VR vibe going for it, which some people believe it is literally the Kodak Color VR emulsion. After the Lomography 100 ran out, I went ahead and popped my last roll, currently of Ektachrome 100, into my Pentax. Although I kept looking back at the mural, and I resolved to spend a minute at the end of this shoot to snap a photo of it. Also, there was some great texture on the walls around it. Still, something was in the back of my mind when I kept looking at this mural. Something was missing. I decided to shoot the Ektachrome 100 using the Cinestill CS6 Dynamic Chrome Creative Slide Kit with it, which would give us a warm tone and hopefully extended dynamic range. And yeah, this area inside of the buildings is incredible, and I've got to find a way to shoot in there. We were also still dodging wasps, and it was there were so many of them, and Tristan just really didn't want to get stung, and I didn't want her to get stung for the photo. So check this crazy pattern out on these windows. I really need to find out about these buildings. It's just, this is something remarkable, and I'm sure one of the neighbors knows about it, or someone in Tyler. I had to load the film. Again, more wasp dodging, but I wanted this backlight, and we just kind of kept going back and forth until we could get that. And it's one of the nice things about the raking backlight here is that we could step away from the building to add hair light and rim light, and you can get a little closer for that drama. Bent filter ring. There we go. While dodging wasps and noticing all that great potential photo locations in the area, a gentleman approached us. I think he was mostly just making sure we weren't vandalizing anything, but he said something about photographing him, and I went for it.
Where you gonna put it on?
He had a great personality and a unique look. After I took the shot, he introduced himself as a local barbecuer. All right, got it. Cool.
Where you gonna put it on?
Not sure yet, but
I'm smoking Joe. I got the barbecue pit. I be at
oh, okay.
I be at the had them protesters and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. I was shooting the slide film as I mentioned, and I think maybe the Cinestill Creative Chrome kit helped give me that range to hold the light on his shoulder and also get his eyes under the brim of a hat, because if you do much photographing outdoors, hats are your enemy when you have hard shadows. You can really just black out someone's eye, but you could see his face perfectly here. So, and detail on his shirt, although there's some weird kind of staining, I think, from the odd light leak thing going on. Speaking of hats being kind of your enemy with hard shadows, Tristan did some shots without her hat, and I liked this one, and she was stepping over this stuff to get to another spot when I told her to stop and look back, and I was pretty happy with the look of the photograph. After working across the various faces of buildings, I decided it was worth risking some film for super nice textures. Despite the light being really not great for portrait type shots on this wall, it was perfect for textures and maybe for a picture of this mural. Oh yeah. I wanted to be careful not to be disrespectful to the mural though, that's important. But while we were dodging wasps, I also took this random landscape photo, which I thought it was kind of fun. Since we didn't have any luck dodging wasps by the electrical boxes, I decided to try to embrace the hard light and potential shadow detail loss by having Tristan hit in an angular pose that could possibly still work even if her eyes went completely black. Thankfully, maybe due to the dynamic chrome or bouncing light, we got the pose and the shadow detail. I just love how these overgrown areas look on film, especially medium and larger formats. And it's awesome that we got shadow detail and the angular pose. Slide film is notorious for its narrow dynamic range, but it worked out pretty well for me. I did finally stop and take a picture of the mural, but we will get to that in a second. Before we wrapped up, we took pictures at this neat historic railroad depot. Please note that we did not take pictures on the tracks. As far as nice pictures on here in this kind of platform area, it was great. Before we do one last thing, I'd like to ask if you enjoy this kind of video and what I'm doing here. Please subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, hit the like button, comment if you have anything to say or even if you don't. I appreciate it, and keep an eye on the community tab because I do all kinds of polls and stuff, and I'm also working on a new chat idea. Also, on the way to my car from the shoot, I had my awful realization. See, I did know who Drake was, Drake Scott. I had met him. I had made his photograph while working on a wonderful speaker series for the Tyler Loop, a local online publication that I've done a lot of work for. He told a powerful story about growing up in poverty and emotional vulnerability. It was beautiful and heart-wrenching. I feel awful because I had heard about this a few days earlier, and my mind has been so all over the place that I never took a second to let it connect. But I was just always looking ahead so much that I didn't connect that this person that a lot of people were very upset about passing was this same person I had heard this amazing story from. And I'll leave you with a few words he spoke that night, hopefully enticing you to listen to the whole story because it's really amazing. I've included the link in the description for the audio and text told in his own words by himself.
For me, tears meant weakness. I didn't know that tears can mean strength. I'm Drake Scott. Love, strength, and perseverance. And we are all we got.